In Barton Hills, with Mopac close enough to see, Laura and Andrew Stewart and their daughter Ava aren't far from a nature preserve. It's right out their front door. In 2011, when they built their house on the hillside property's acre and a half, they started restoration of its native roots. After living on 10 acres of habitat near Manor, they wanted to live alongside nature's garden.
We realized we like the land, but we don't like living outside the city. So we decided that we would prefer to have something like that, but where we could still ride our bikes downtown and have access to all the things that happen in Austin. The house was designed by Juan Moreau and Miguel Rivera, Moreau Rivera Architects. And I remember the conversation we had when we were talking about the design was like having that flow, opening it up so you didn't feel like you cut the lot in half, that you had a connection from top to bottom.
And also that we spend so much of our time outdoors, that we're not really gardeners. We just love being outside. And so, again, the native landscape makes sense for us because it's low maintenance. But also just as far as creating this space, we want this to feel like a part of our house or a part of our living space. The trellis sort of functions to create that feeling of still being in our living space because we do so much of our living out here.
Well, our architects introduced us to David Mahler, who from Environmental Survey Consulting, and they came out and he did a plant inventory of all the plants on the property, of all the native species we had and all the non-native invasives, and basically proposed that to be able to access the entire lot, to build a trail system that kind of looped us around so we could go and enjoy the lot but not have to bushwhack our way through it.
With the trail, it gives you this feeling that you're exploring.
To restore the abundant native plants, David Mahler removed invasive exotics that blockaded them. Hidden treasures quickly resurfaced to join the natives he added.
There's not one time where it's like super showy and there's a lot that's happening all at once. It's like little pockets happen here and there, but it happens constantly and changes throughout the year.
Every time I walk the trail, I notice something new. And that constant flux and the change, I like to watch what's happening with the land. It's not such a planned garden.
Well, it's kind of the sense of like what we did with the whole house, the sense of space and how we interact with the environment around us. And it's just a feeling of being connected with nature without having to give up the perks of living in a city.
Near the house, where the family often gathers, David designed up-close interactions. In a corridor from driveway to house, he clustered native succulents of distinctive coloration and textures. The only turf grass is a terrace that edges the patio.
For lawn sports, to play bocce ball, maybe a little badminton, just a little area to have fun. And we went with buffalo grass to try and choose something that was really hardy and drought tolerant, that looked really good if you decide not to mow it, and looked nice if like to cut it as well.
And we wanted our daughter to be able, and her friends to be able to run around barefoot in the grass, although they run around barefoot on the entire terrain. So, things don't always, the spaces aren't always used as you plan to use them. In fact, the dogs use that space probably more than anyone else.
Daughter Ava and friends are usually on the trails exploring and collecting seeds. At the bottom of the hill, you might run into them in her playhouse, a 1956 Shasta Airstream. This lower berth of the hill is in full sun, perfect for the kitchen garden where the whole family plants seasonal vegetables. They also started an orchard to pick fruit fresh from their trees. To cool things down, David built a pond.
In the summertime, it's very hot down there, but we wanted to have something that really invited you to enjoy that part of the land as well. And we also just enjoy what ponds bring.
All the insects, the bees, the birds. We had a lot of wildlife that goes and enjoys that pond.
David also engineered water retention on the hillside to keep rainfall on the property but away from the house.
We have rainwater collection. We have about 10,000 gallon capacity with tanks under the deck, and we capture all the water from the roof, the 2 roof lines. And then we have built swales and shaped the land around the house and have French drains to move the water around. And then when the water does move down the hill, we have swales to slow it down and spread it out. And our irrigation system is connected to the rainwater tanks. So if we ever get to which has happened very rarely, where we get to 100% full, and instead of letting all the water rush out all in one place, we can spread it around the lot through the irrigation system.
Restoring the land's natural cycle may take at least 5 years. But even in one, the Stewarts have seen its resilience when unnatural barriers disappeared.
But I've been blown away. Like this spring, I couldn't believe what was happening. And most of it was stuff that was not planted. It's just the stuff that was happening here. Just the native wildflowers that we already have on the lot, that once you cleared things away or cut down saplings, or the mountain junipers that had the space to come out and grow. It's been spectacular. You just want to be able to interact with it and help it along, but not sculpt it, let it sculpt itself.